a freaking coincidence that John G. Trump was the one who went through all of Tesla's files for the Office of Alien Property, and in these exact papers, he specifically says that Tesla's ground transmission system cannot work. The mechanical vibration system cannot work. But then we find all of the golf resorts of the Trump family at key locations away from the Trump Tower. This is page 2 of the declassified files from the CIA about which papers of Tesla's were taken from his files and written by John G. Trump. I'm going to read this off for you. The Art of Telegeodynamics, or Art of Producing Terrestrial Motions at a Distance. This document is in the form of a letter dated June 12, 1940 to the Westinghouse Electrical and Manufacturing Company, proposes a method for the transmission of large amounts of power over vast distances by means of mechanical vibrations of the Earth's crust. The source of power is a mechanical or electromechanical device bolted to some rocky protuberance and imparting power at a resonance frequency of the Earth's crust. The proposed scheme appears to be completely visionary and unworkable. Westinghouse's reply indicates their polite rejection of the idea. Really, it doesn't work, yet we find all of the Trump golf resorts at key nodal points around the Earth away from the Trump Tower. So this is the Trump Tower in Manhattan, in the financial district. It's right in the exact center of the financial district, actually. This is the old Trump Tower, and had a plane crashed into it, I think 20 days before Donald Trump was born. One of only 2 other buildings besides the World Trade Center to have a plane crashed into it. But check this out. You're going to tell me it's a coincidence that the Trump Doral Golf Resort is exactly 5,750,000 feet away from the Trump Tower, that I'm pretty dang sure, come on, when are people going to open their eyes? I don't know if he lied for the government or he lied to the government, but John G. Trump lied outright, and they are using this system.
The electron flow first produces a maximum concentration in this direction, reverses, then produces a maximum in the opposite direction. Flow reverses, maximum. This cycle repeats itself at the signal frequency. While the charges build up the most at the peaks, the highest current is where the electrons are moving the most. Where the electrons are moving the most is where you'll have the highest current power losses. Like in transmission, those power losses are ohmic losses and are lost to heat. Just like a wine glass driven at its resonant frequency shatters, and a mechanical system will oscillate until failure. If we drive the antenna at its resonant frequency and at a rate faster than it can dissipate the heat, it will become glowing red hot. But let's say we drive it with many different resonant frequencies, so that when they add together, they make a wave of extreme intense current in a localized tight spot, but a very low current all other places on the antenna. If that is applied to the long steel beams of a skyscraper, do you think something different will happen? Do you think ohmic heating won't apply here? Electricity
And friction
does melt steel beams.
I have all that on camcorder. I mean, took a tape and sort of sealed it in a box with my September 11th memorabilia. It's my own in-house time capsule, if you will. Maybe my grandkids will open it one day. But that, capture that. Wait a minute. This is a huge. How could there be an explosion without a shock wave? That means it wasn't a bomb. Of course, I would later learn once, because I didn't see the plane. A plane flew in. Okay, there it was. I have all that on camcorder. I mean, I took a tape
tuned Tesla coil. You could do the same thing if that was still insulated or in a box. Isn't that kind of cool? So if you got the right bell to get it to resonate, you can cause that to resonate. You can cause it to then emit a sound that once you stop this one, you can find it through triangulating its position from the surface. Pyramids. Bells. Ancient, coveted information during the time of Tesla for submarine warfare. In our previous example, we had a ship that had a Tesla coil on it that went into the water, and it could pick up the electrical oscillations. And I had said that you had to tune this specific electric resonator, the Tesla coil. Tuning you find where you pick up the amplitude the highest, that gives you your signal that you would get. You pan across your frequency domain to find where it hits, and you see where the amplitude increases. Instead of having specific mechanical analogs of the Tesla coil, what you just need is a mechanical oscillator, or a tuned mechanical oscillator, i.e. either just a set of tuning forks, or acoustic version of this. Once you get it trapped in the waveguide channel, it goes around the whole world. Now, I would like to stress too, once it goes past the largest radial point of the Earth, those waves then begin converging back on themselves, and that's no longer an increasing area cylinder. While there still is attenuation of the wave as it goes further on the Earth, those waves begin to culminate back together. Everything we really thought about on wave transmission, not going far, kind of goes out the window.
But we can go deeper.
And you just ring your bell until it starts resonating the...
Do you think heating won't apply here?
On several steel columns.
Or why 3 columns have a more intense glow, followed by 6 columns that don't, followed by another 3 that do. But I have an idea.
That, to...
It doesn't have to be pyramids. You could get people at each of these places to just constantly putting the ground vibrations in by doing dances. Daily rotation of people doing prayers. Due to the seismoelectric effect, mechanical vibrations put into the earth. In the desert, parts of it will rectify into a electrical waveform, which means, let's say you're out in the desert in dune land, every step you take will send wave pulses out from where you walk. Just like in the movie Dune, where they have to do the weird step so that the sandworms don't just come and eat you alive. You have this system of sending mechanical vibrations through the ground, phased array setup. You don't have to have any giant wave, you just have to have small waves all over the place. Get them coordinated, directed energy weapon. If you're out in the desert and you're walking at pace, you can be triangulated anywhere in the desert. And anyone who's got good enough phased array acoustic technology can send a ground wave to Sandbar! Everything from targeted earthquakes to potential Havana Syndrome sonic weapon technology that no one can seem to explain where it's coming from. Wonder where it's coming from.
Cap. No way. Bullshit. Absolutely not. I wrote back and said, oh, holy shit, what the fuck?
These things are, as our illustrious Congresswoman says, a sign from God. God is sending us signals that America needs to repent.
You don't repent and pay tribute to your nearest king, God won't make your lands bountiful or send an earthquake, or not even like a couple weeks before I start talking about this, and they're already out there claiming it.
If you aren't capable of believing,
I think
that's rude.
Especially up to level 5. So
you got one side telling you it's
Kiss my
God,
ass.
you got the other side telling you it's
I'm a member
nature,
of Congress.
neither of which you can do anything about.
Why would we?
It's really simple.
Our culture does not demand pyramid. There's just no reason to. We have no purpose for the pyramids or otherwise accoutrement to the pyramids.
You don't know what this technology I've been trying to teach everyone about is possible or capable of doing.
Listen, buddy, you don't need any pyramids.
I've seen the evidence.
Don't think about what comes after or what came before.
And we are going
Gotta
to
bend your knees.
need to worry about our own country, and frankly,
You know, just keep consuming and consuming and consuming, and you know, we can all dance on the grave of the planet later. Who gives a fuck? Drinking to the downfall of humanity.
Don't worry about it though, it's just nature or
it
God.
is being proven. It
Does
is.
that look like no fucking purpose for the pyramid to you?
I don't appreciate that type of language.
Ridiculous.
And if you ask me, all these crazy zealot news stations that keep making videos about all the UFO releases, and all these guys are just seemingly showing nothing.
What's the answer? Where's the video, Jeremy?
Yeah, that's part of the story, and I think I'm going to have to answer that at another time. But I will say this,
is that there is more footage. So some people got to see portions of it within the intelligence community. There is a bigger story to tell.
They want you to think it's this kind of technology. It's some outrageous super sci-fi stuff and not something as simple as just bell towers.
That absolute beast right there is made up of 4 M130.
This is a bell tower, playing another day of sun.
I unlocked some sort of superpower.
There are technologies at the South Pole Station that people can't even consider that exist on this planet.
But first they'll make sure you think it's Tesla towers so they can then call you crazy.
Physically held a key that opened every single door in the facility. I had complete access to every compartment they manufactured. Directed energy weapon systems is something that people need to get in their vocabulary fast. The ice cube neutrino detector.
Just bell towers, directed energy weapons, and they're scaring us all with it too. So it's not the government, is it? Don't believe that. It is not lost in Antarctica, out of your reach. That's what they want you to believe.
What are you blowing the whistle on?
Directed energy weapon system.
Bell towers
simply has the capacity to transmit.
Directed energy
as presented for the
weapons.
The science that people can't even consider.
Honestly, at this point, I'm not mad, just disappointed. Anyway, with that out of the way.
And I find it very interesting. There's so much lore behind the
entity that is roughly translated as the sand runner or sand traveler type of malicious spirit that takes the form of a living sand dune and can move and change shape at will. Could this have been the same creature the Russian officials were now secretly aware of? What connects Alexander the Great, Prophet Suleiman, and the Allied incursion into Iran in 1941? The Rigi Jinn Desert, otherwise known as the Dune of the Jinn. Old Persian myths concerning an extra-dimensional gateway existing at its core in the 21st century, based in and around the more accessible areas. Large parts of the Rigi Jinn remains avoided because of this. Some nomads still speak of terrifying ancient threats that exists within it. This threat may not only be a relic from ancient folklore, but something the Russian government might have encountered in the 1940s.
Okay, now that it's just us here, let me illustrate a point that many of you might have already caught. Skeptics and material science often ignores the study of things that hoaxers have been caught perpetuating. They see the scam and they call it debunked because,
well, I know a subwoofer when I see one. Only everything I'm talking about with all my theories here is to do with vibrations put into the ground, acoustics in the ground. No. Speakers wouldn't be used at all in this, and it wouldn't possibly be related to this, and wouldn't possibly need to have some sort of cover program where they claim, these flying saucers are also these exact things that look like speakers too. Those if acoustic waves can't be used for anything. Oh my god. They just use so many layers for subterfuge on this. It's kind of brilliant, and it's impressive, the work they've put into this. I'm getting tired of this, though. We need to use this so we can heal our planet and fix our shit. And yes, they absolutely would use it for cover for both vibrations in the ground and...
I'm just gonna go and ruin everything they're doing.
¿Por qué no los dos?
You want to know a sign that somebody about to give somebody a big beat down? Is when this
castle in France shows up to the Chateau de Chambord, where a dash of whimsy collide. It was a statement piece by King Francois I. Despite its size, Chambord was never fully furnished, leading some to speculate it was always meant more for show.
And guess what just deployed?
At the heart of Chambord's architectural enigma is
the restoration project on the bell towers.
They only do two things.
Announces the hour.
And kill tanks. And they are extremely good at it.
And now if this here geospatial satellite telemetry don't knock your socks off, I don't know what else will. What more proof could anyone need? Okay, so I feel like maybe I wasn't quite as clear as I could have been about what I was getting at with the Chambord castle here. To be clear, this castle is a couple 100 years old. And now if the Chambord castle is built in 1500s, and I'm saying that the entire thing is one giant ground vibration transmission system terminal component. But according to what we believe in science, no one invented that until Nikola Tesla, 1890,